Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Welcome back to my channel. If you've been around before, you know that often I do videos on healthy recipes, ways to take care of your body, a little bit of yoga, Ayurveda, healthy eating, all of that good stuff. But every once in a while, I like to focus on our homes because our homes are our sanctuaries. So I will do videos about cleaning or decluttering or you know the drill. Today, I want to talk about spring cleaning. If spring cleaning is not your jam, if you maybe feel like the idea, the concept of spring cleaning is just sort of old fashioned and you don't have time for that, that's fine. I'm not offended. You can skip this video. But for me and many other people, the big seasonal changes, like coming into spring and then again maybe in fall, we get like that shift of energy that makes us want to not only cleanse like our inner body, but also our environment. And if, like me, you live somewhere where winters are sort of cold and you spend a lot of time indoors all winter long, you start to notice that your house just gets a little dusty, a little dirty. The more time you spend in your house, the dirtier it gets. And now that the weather is starting to change, it's warming up a little bit and we're getting all those signs of spring, for me, I start thinking about all the things I need to do outside, getting the yard cleaned up, and then hopefully as the weather gets better, just wanting to spend more time outside. And it just makes me feel better to know that my house is already clean and taken care of so that I can focus on being outside without feeling any guilt about like my lack of housework getting done. Do you feel the same? So I invite you, grab your cleaning rag, a broom, whatever it is, pick a spot in your house and clean along with me. So while I talk and clean, you can listen and clean. So one of the ways that I have simplified my spring cleaning is to create a system for my year-long cleaning. So what I did is I broke down my house into about 8 sections. What I do now is rotate through those sections, all 8 of them, once a week. So that means every 8 weeks, I'm revisiting one of those areas of my house. And I try to do just a little deeper clean during that week. Every day I'm doing the dishes, I'm picking up after myself, wiping down the kitchen counters, maybe sweeping the floor after cooking a meal when there's crumbs, dusting the coffee table or anywhere where like you spend a lot of time. But when that room or area is up for the week, that week I try to pay a little bit more attention, maybe deeper clean a little bit. So if it's the week of the kitchen, I might wipe down the counters. I might try to do a deeper sweep / mop of the area. In my bedroom, it means other than just making the bed every day and picking up dirty clothes, that I'm actually going to maybe dust my dresser or the end tables and just clean it up a little bit better. In the bathroom, I'm doing a more thorough scrub of the sink, maybe wiping out a closet shelf that looks dusty. Just a couple little things. I'm not deep cleaning the whole entire room. I'm just doing a little extra to keep it sort of looking good. This, for a lot of rooms, is just dusting. Like in my living room, I might dust the coffee table and the end tables quite often, but then I also have bookcases in there that I just don't. So those get revisited maybe every 2 months at the very best, really. If I'm paying attention and following the schedule, the idea is they would get dusted every 2 months. If I'm having company over or I'm getting ready to decorate for like Christmas, I might do it a little sooner or later. I might not wait for the schedule. It's all flexible. But the idea is at least nothing gets ignored all year long to wait for spring cleaning. Therefore, when spring cleaning time rolls around, my house, in theory, shouldn't really need spring cleaning. So it should just be that doing the extra every 2 months should keep up with it just fine. But unfortunately, that's not exactly how it works, because in spring cleaning, I like to really dust my blinds, wash my windows, get rid of all that winter grime. And I'm not doing that every 2 months. That is really a springtime thing, maybe again in the fall for the windows that we look out a lot. And I also don't want to wait for 2 full months to pass before I get all the windows done or all the spring cleaning done. So in the spring, even though I try to maintain that schedule somewhat, when spring hits, I do need to make like a deeper dive, at least into the rooms that we spend a lot of time in. So like, the kitchen, the foyer, the living room, the dining room, our bedroom, the bathrooms, the library. So it's most of the rooms. I guess most of the rooms other than maybe my guest bedrooms. So maybe I'll skip the guest bedrooms for now, not prioritize those. But other rooms do need to be like really dusted, try to get like under the furniture and whatnot so that it feels like fresh and clean, opening up the windows and letting all that fresh air in and letting the house be prepared for spring. When I'm doing spring cleaning, when I'm focused on spring cleaning, I'm not focusing on decluttering. Now, if you've been around the channel and you've seen some of my other videos, I do occasionally do decluttering videos because I hate clutter. That's pretty simple, right? I enjoy decluttering my spaces. I enjoy that fresh energy of when like all of a sudden there's space in your room where everything isn't all cluttered up and everything's not on top of each other. I think that makes your house function well and makes it feel calming and comfortable. You're not looking around seeing like, I think there's a YouTube channel that I follow called The Minimal Mom. I think she calls it like the silent to-do list, when you look around just knowing like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do that, or I really need to return that, oh, that stuff needed to be filed. All that stuff that sits around, all that clutter, scrambles your brain. So I do like to have my house decluttered, and throughout the year I do sometimes do like little like swoop in and like really like do a deep decluttering session on an area. But spring cleaning is not where I recommend doing this. Now, yeah, if you come across something that is garbage or like a clear donation, yeah, fine, get rid of it, throw it in the donation box, throw it away, do whatever you have to do. But in spring cleaning, really, I just want to focus on cleaning. I'll come back and declutter some more later. And the more you declutter later, the easier spring cleaning will be next year. So just something to think about. When I go to spring clean, or really any cleaning, but definitely spring cleaning, the top tools of things that I use a Swiffer duster, which I know probably not the most environmentally sound thing because they are like disposable, but they work really good on my window blinds. So that's what I use on my blinds. And sometimes I use them a little bit to dust here or there, but a lot of times I do dusting with sort of a damp cloth, either microfiber, which I know isn't great either, or just a cotton cloth. Just something about a damp cloth picks up dust so much better than a Swiffer, or even like, I remember back in the day when we used to use Pledge. Yeah, I don't do that either. But so I use the Swiffer duster. I use like some sort of damp cloth to dust. I have a window cloth, which is just, you wash your window with your cotton cloth, and then you come back with this window cloth, and it gets rid of all the streaks and dries it all up all nice. You can get expensive ones through like companies like Norwex, but you can also go on Amazon and find cheaper versions that work just as well. For like an all-purpose cleaner, which I use really a little bit when I'm dusting or when I'm cleaning off my kitchen counters or cabinets, or like, anything that just needs a little extra scrub, I use Sales Suds, which is made by Dr. Bronner's. I have a video where I made some of my own cleaning supplies, and I show where I do use that. I will link that video here as well in case you want to check that out. And when it comes to mopping my floor, I do not have a fancy, expensive mop. I have an old, what was meant to be like the Swiffer dusters, like for the floor, where you just have a little disposable thing that you put on it. And then I bought reusable, washable things. I don't even know what you'd call them. You just get them wet, spray a little cleaner on them, and then hook them onto that Swiffer duster, and then that is what I use to mop my floors. If you ever come to my house, I would never suggest eating off my floors. I try to keep them clean, but I'm not like crazy about it. As long as they're picked up, dust free, and I'm not stepping on crumbs during the day, I'm usually pretty happy. So those are the things that I use to clean my house. The process for spring cleaning, I take a quick pass through the room for just a quick, I want to say decluttering, but just really like garbage or anything that just belongs in another room, just getting it out of the space. Then If you have curtains in the room, I recommend taking your curtains down, maybe just throwing them in the dryer to fluff them up and de-dust them. Most of the time, curtains don't really need to be washed. They just need to be like fluffed and dusted. If you want to wash them, go ahead and wash them. You can also even just grab your vacuum with like an attachment and just vacuum them. But sometimes also in a room, if you have a room with like throw blankets or bedding or anything like that, you might want to just strip everything, get the laundry going, get that washed while you clean the rest of the room. And then it will be done to put back when you're ready. I start by dusting the entire room, left to right, top to bottom, around the outside of the room, and then any furniture in the center. Now, I don't have curtains, so while I am doing this dusting, this is when I'm dusting my window blinds, getting those nice and clean. And then I also wash the windows. Now we have the windows that tip in so that you can clean inside and outside. Before I had these windows installed, I would wash the inside while I was spring cleaning, and then I would save the outside for some time when the weather was a little bit better and I wanted an excuse to be outside, and that's when I would wash the outside of my windows. So do whatever feels right to you, or skip the windows altogether if windows are not your thing. But I can tell you, in the springtime, when everything is just gray and grungy and dirty from the winter, that cleaning the windows just makes everything seem so much brighter and nicer and fresher and cleaner. So if it is within your bandwidth to clean some windows, at least do the windows in this space that you spend a lot of time in. If you have a ceiling light or a ceiling fan, dust those as well. Don't forget those. And then depending on the room, there will be other cleaning to do. So in my bedroom, I make sure to like really sweep and clean underneath the furniture, so underneath the bed, underneath the dressers, and then I mop those wood floors. And I don't mop my bedroom floors a lot, right? Most of the time I'm just sweeping them. But usually spring cleaning, and again in the fall, I do like to mop it up and make sure it's nice and clean and dust-free underneath everything. It makes the energy of the room feel so much nicer. I think I sort of mentioned before, when you're doing the kitchen, you're probably going to wipe down the cabinets. If you're doing the bathroom, you're probably going to do a deeper clean on your tub. I oftentimes will clean out my closet in the bathroom, just making sure to dust all the shelves off, throwing away expired stuff, doing just a quick zhuzh there. Just, look around the room. What needs to be done? Light fixtures, shelves, anything out of the way that you tend to ignore, this is the time to address it. If you have carpeted floors, maybe you want to think about even renting or hiring a professional to clean your carpets. If you have area rugs, oftentimes you can send those off to a dry cleaner to clean, or just maybe take them outside and shake them out really good. Just do whatever feels right to you. The idea here is just to have a nice, clean, fresh home that just feels inviting. It feels, I just say fresh and clean anymore? You know what I mean. In springtime, we want to open the windows. So while I'm cleaning, oftentimes when I do the windows, I will just leave them open to let the fresh air in and just enjoy a nice, freshly cleaned house. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will link some of my other cleaning and organizing and decluttering videos down in the description box. Go ahead and check those out.